My name's Jack Harper, and let me tell you about the wildest chapter of my Lithia tale of deception, betrayal, and a revenge so sweet it still makes me grin. It all started in the summer of 2024 in a quiet coastal town in Oregon called Willow Cove, where I lived in my grandmother's old seaside cottage. I'm 54, a retired mechanic who'd spent years fixing cars and boats, now living a solitary life in that weathered house by the cliffs. The place wasn't just a home. It was my sanctuary, filled with memories of my grandmother teaching me how to tinker with engines in her garage. But by July 2024, I was drowning in debt $6,000 behind on mortgage payments, with bills piling up like driftwood on the shore. I'd sit on my porch, staring at the ocean, wondering if I'd have to sell the cottage and move into some soulless apartment in town. That's when Victoria Langley, the HOA president and a slick real estate agent, swooped in like a seagull spotting a discarded sandwich. Victoria wasn't your average neighbor. She was polished, always in crisp blazers, with a smile that screamed, "I know your secrets." She'd been eyeing my property for months, slowing her car as she passed, her gaze lingering on the cottage's prime oceanfront lot. I could practically see the commission dollars flashing in her eyes, a cool $250,000 property that could net her a fortune. I'm not much for socializing, especially after retiring. I'd go weeks without leaving the property, living off canned goods and the sound of waves crashing. My neighbors, a good half-mile away, rarely saw me, and that summer, with the weight of those bills crushing me, I'd turned into a full-on recluse. My mailbox overflowed, newspapers stacked up on the porch, and my truck was tucked behind the house, out of sight. It was the perfect setup for what came next. One foggy morning, while I was repairing a fence near the road, I overheard Mrs. Clara Thompson, an elderly neighbor, on her phone. "I haven't seen Jack Harper in ages," she said. "His place looks abandoned. I'm worried he's passed away up there." Her words stung not because she cared, but because she sounded so casual about it. I was 54, not some frail old man. Instead of correcting her, a mischievous spark ignited. What if I let people think I was gone? What if I played dead and watched what happened? Would Victoria make her move? Curiosity got the better of me, so I leaned into it. I stopped collecting mail, let the papers pile up, and vanished from sight, parking my truck out back and keeping the lights off at night. I was about to uncover a plot so brazen it'd make your jaw drop. Within days, Victoria was circling. I watched from my kitchen window as she drove by multiple times, snapping photos and jotting notes. On the third day, she had the gall to rummage through my mailbox, pulling out bills, and here's the kicker, an overdue mortgage notice from the county. I saw her eyes light up like she'd hit the jackpot. She opened my mail, a federal crime, and made a call, her voice buzzing with excitement. I couldn't hear her words, but her body language screamed opportunity. The next day, she showed up with a guy in a cheap suit, Ethan Carter, her real estate partner, as I later learned. They strutted around my property like they owned it, measuring the lot, pointing at the cottage, and discussing development potential. I was livid, watching from the shadows, but I held back. I wanted to see how far she'd go. Victoria's scheme unfolded like a bad crime novel. She'd found my spare key under a rock by the back door and used it to let herself and Ethan inside. For 2 hours, they roamed my home, opening cabinets, critiquing my grandmother's garage-me sacred space, talking about turning it into a modern media room. I hid in the basement, recording everything on my phone. Every lie, every trespass, every dollar sign in her eyes. Victoria was spinning a tale that I'd died, leaving the property available, and she was handling the estate. Ethan was nervous, asking, "Are we sure he's gone? What if he comes back?" Victoria brushed him off, saying, "Trust me, Ethan, this is our big break." Her confidence was chilling. She didn't stop there. Victoria spread the rumor through the neighborhood, casually asking neighbors if they'd seen me. Clara and others confirmed I'd been missing for weeks, feeding her narrative. By the end of the week, half of Willow Cove thought I was dead, and Victoria was the concerned neighbor stepping in to help. She invited 3 big-shot realtors from the county to tour the property, spinning a story about a grieving family wanting a quick sale. I watched from the basement as she led them through my home, gushing about the original hardwood floors and coastal charm. One realtor, a sharp woman named Diane, asked about property lines and zoning, clearly seeing dollar signs in a development deal. Victoria's greed was in overdrive, and Ethan's unease was palpable, but she kept pushing, promising a bidding war. Things escalated when Victoria organized a special house showing for buyers. 8 people showed up, 3 realtors, 3 buyers, Ethan and Victoria, all gathered on my porch. She was in her element, delivering a polished pitch about the cottage's unique potential. I'd rigged the house with tricks, hidden speakers, motion sensors, flickering lights to make it feel haunted. When the living room lights flickered during her spiel, one buyer, a city guy named Mark, got excited about a haunted property premium. Another, an artsy woman named Sophie, rambled about spiritual energy. Victoria leaned into it, calling it coastal mystique. Then the bidding started. $260,000, $280,000, $295,000, all for my home. While I listened from below, seething but patient. The final showing was Victoria's crowning moment, so she thought. 5 buyers plus Ethan arrived, and she was ready to close deals with fake contracts in hand. I decided it was time for my entrance. I hadn't shaved in days, wore my grimiest clothes, and looked like I'd crawled out of a grave. As Victoria waxed poetic about the bathroom's retro fixtures, I stepped out, casual as could be. Sorry, folks, showing's canceled. The owner's very much alive. Chaos erupted. 2 buyers screamed, "Ghost." Sophie fainted. Ethan dropped his papers, hyperventilating. Victoria went pale, her mouth gaping like a fish. She tried to recover, yelling, "He's trespassing. Call the sheriff." I laid out my proof, driver's license, deed, utility bills, and my own kitchen table. "Jack Harper, alive and well, wondering why you're selling my house." The buyers turned on her, furious. Mark, the city guy, snarled, "You showed us fake death certificates." Victoria's excuses, abandonment, instability fell apart. I'd welded the front gate shut, trapping everyone until Sheriff Malone arrived. My basement was a surveillance gold, mini cameras, audio, everything documenting Victoria's crimes. I played the footage for the group, a damning montage of her trespassing, lying, and pocketing offers. Ethan cracked, spilling everything to the sheriff. How Victoria fabricated my death, forged documents, and pressured him. The neighborhood gathered outside, lawn chairs and all, watching Victoria's arrest like a blockbuster premiere. Victoria faced a slew of charges: fraud, trespassing, theft by deception. Her real estate license was revoked, her brokerage dropped her, and she had to sell her own house to cover legal fees. My mortgage was cleared with her restitution, and I kept the cottage. Ethan apologized, vowing to go straight. The town hailed me as a hero, and I put up a sign. "Jack Harper, very much alive. Trespassers will be welded in." It's a local legend now. So what do you think? Was my revenge too harsh, or did Victoria get what she deserved? Should I have confronted her sooner, or let her dig her own grave? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories of justice served.